Now, what we like to be very clear about is the difference between co-rooming and co-sleeping. We do encourage co-rooming. We do not recommend co-sleeping, and here is why. Hi there, I'm Petey the Pediatrician, and today we're gonna go over a bunch of things that you should know as a brand new parent. This is part of my pediatric playlist for parents or caregivers who have a bunch of questions about their newborn or this is their first time being a parent. I know there's a lot to go over. We just went through a bunch in the first video, and this is the second video where we're gonna go over a couple of new things, so let's get started. In the last video, we went over a bunch of things that you should do when the baby is first born, things to do in the hospital. Now we're going to talk about when the baby is going home. So when the baby is going home, do you have a car seat? Which way does the car seat face in the car? The car seat should always face the rear of the car. This is to protect the baby in case, God forbid, there's an accident, so the glass does not hit the baby's chest. And the car seat is also designed so that if, God forbid, it tipped over, the baby can continue to breathe. If you've never installed a car seat or you're wondering if you've installed it correctly, I'm going to link a video down below that I made with Safe Kids Worldwide. They're an incredible group that wants to make sure you can keep your baby safe. And then also you can click on my website to get to their webpage where they will have links to checkup locations, inspection stations, as well as educational workshops. So it's really wonderful if you would like to see if someone can help install your car seat or check that you've done it properly. Again, safety is our key. Next, let's talk about safe sleep. Where does the baby sleep when they're at home? In their own bassinet or crib. Wonderful. Now, where is the bassinet or crib in your home? Perfect. We love to hear that it's bedside next to you so that you can be in the same room as them. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And lastly, what goes inside the bassinet with the baby? Aha! Yes, it's a trick question. Nothing should go inside the bassinet with the baby. We are preventing something called SIDS. Have you heard of it? Sudden Infant Death Syndrome. There are some babies who tragically die while they're sleeping, and we're still doing some research to understand why. Some studies suggest that it is linked with genetic or environmental causes, and because it does happen, we're going to talk about it right now so we can help protect your baby so it doesn't happen. Number one, we want to make sure that the baby is sleeping in this acronym. You ready? A, B, C. The baby has to sleep alone. Nothing can be inside the bassinet or crib with them. No loose toys or articles or blankets. Nothing cutesy. It's just the baby alone. So when the baby's sleeping alone, they need to be swaddled with their hat on, but no loose blankets or articles or anything inside. There is one exception we make, and I'll get into that in a little bit. 2, on their back. B is back. The baby needs to sleep on their back. They have not yet learned to roll themselves over. And even if they have, it's still recommended that they always sleep on their back on a firm surface. C, in their own crib or bassinet. The reason why is anything loose inside the bassinet or baby potentially not sleeping on their back could lead to some difficulties breathing and also potentially suffocation. Now, suffocation is different than SIDS, but we want to eliminate any possibility that the baby could potentially die while sleeping. So what is it? A, B, C. What does it stand for? Exactly. Alone on their back in their own crib or bassinet. Now, I did say there is one exception that we make to what goes inside the bassinet. What do you think that it is? It's actually something that helps reduce the risk of SIDS. Pacifiers. Now, before you start ordering stuff online, I'm going to link some down below that are what we recommend, because the pacifier is just the pacifier, y'all. Not anything that's linked to a stuffed animal, a giraffe, an elephant. I don't know why they make those. Those are hazards. Do not purchase them. Just the pacifier by themselves. Again, I'm linking some down below so you can see what they look like. Other things that help reduce the risk of SIDS happening include breastfeeding, which we talked about in the previous video, breastfeeding, formula feeding, both feeding. You can refer to that video. Next is a smoke-free environment, making sure that there is no cigarette, vaping, cigar smoke either in the house or on anyone who's taking care of the baby's mouth or clothes. Make sure that you brush your teeth and wash your clothes before you interact with your baby if you are going to smoke, and it should not be in the house at all because there's first-hand smoke, which is what happens to the person, second-hand smoke, which is what happens to the people around them, and the third-hand smoke is what's on the couches, the clothing, in the environment that is still going to affect babies. Again, their lungs are so tiny, so we have to be very, very careful. And another thing that will help reduce the risk of SIDS is co-rooming. I love to hear that the bassinet and the crib is in the same room as you. Now, what we like to be very clear about is the difference between co-rooming and co-sleeping. We do encourage co-rooming. we do not recommend co-sleeping, and here is why. When you are holding your baby and you're starting to feel tired, the best thing to do is to either put the baby back in their own bassinet, again, alone, or pass them off to a team member, either another caregiver or someone who's a friend who you trust. But what does happen sometimes, unfortunately, is parents fall asleep while holding their baby, and we call that co-sleeping. They either fall asleep holding their baby, or they put their baby next to them in their mattress, which is what? Not firm, and also not alone, and so the baby's with them while they're sleeping, and we have had parents tragically roll over and crush their babies and suffocate them. It is horrific. It is a very challenging thing and very difficult conversations to have with parents who are grieving, so we like to talk about it now before it happens, that this is the education you need. So please spread this message far and wide. We need to take care of our babies and promote good help education. So co-sleeping is not recommended. If you're feeling tired, the baby should not be sleeping with you. Put them in their own place. Do not sleep in the same bed as them, and if you are in the same room, that is a good bonus point because that helps reduce risk to let them know that you're nearby, but you're not in the same space. Another question we get all the time is, how many layers should my baby be wearing? It's a really good one. A lot of parents ask this question, so here's the rule of thumb. The baby should be wearing at least one extra layer than you're wearing. So if it's the summer and you want to walk outside naked, that is your choice, but the baby has to wear at least one layer. And if it's the winter and you're wearing 2, the baby should be wearing 3. Again, babies lose a lot of heat through their head, so hats are recommended. Also, be mindful to not have loose clothing. So you want to have like a onesie or a tight swaddle on them. That is what's most helpful. And if you feel like they're getting cold while they're sleeping in their bassinet, what can you do? Well, we can't put a loose blanket on top, right? Because that is loose, so it's not recommended. So what do? You can either swaddle them in an extra layer or put them in an extra onesie. We want to prevent overheating because that does contribute to SIDS, so that is typically the rule of thumb, one extra layer than what you're wearing. I one time had a baby who was really jittery and the nurses were calling me in and trying to see if something's going on because jitteriness can mean something else. And I come in, I do a physical exam, the baby's totally normal, I'm trying to understand. And then I check in with my own body and I thought, oh yeah, when I walked into this room, I was a bit cold and I'm wearing 2 layers. So I put the baby in 3 layers because they were in 1 and the baby stopped jittering. So be mindful of the environmental factors that could be affecting your baby because they have only one way to communicate with you, and that is crying. So we have to discern what those cries mean. I'm trying to communicate something to you. So let's try to figure out what those are. And then the last thing that will help reduce SIDS is immunizations or vaccines. So when the baby is born, we give the hepatitis B vaccine. And if they have a fever, which is what number, if you remember from the last video? Yay! So proud of you. 100.4 or higher, they have to come to the emergency department, and that will be the case until they turn 2 months old when they get their first set of vaccines, which will also help contribute to decreasing the risk of SIDS or sudden infant death syndrome. Now let's talk about pets. So are there any pets at home? Lovely. Let's be mindful that pets might be a little bit rambunctious around new people at home, especially children. And I have had parents say, well, they're good with kids. Kids are different than babies because kids can interact with them, but babies are going to have a one-way interaction where the pet interacts with them. So when the baby is sleeping, we have to be able to keep pets away from baby as much as possible. Some parents in the past have said that they've taken a blanket from the baby in the hospital or a hat and brought it home so that the pet or animal can sniff it and get acquainted. You be mindful, you know your pet, your animal, and be able to protect them while they're sleeping so that the pet can't interrupt them or jump on them or cause other issues. The next thing is, do you have nieces, nephews at home or cousins who might want to love on them? Very funny that it comes after pets, but it's similar concept. We want to make sure that the child is safe. We do want to do something different though, which is we want to encourage other children's curiosity. This is a new human, help them understand what this means, but it should always be under your supervision. We don't want them to try to hold the baby and accidentally drop them, so you should always be there supervising. And then are there any grandparents, aunties, uncles, friends who might want to love on them? We want to encourage their love and support. We want to be mindful about kissing. Kissing is a family preference, so as the parents, you all get to decide what you choose. As pediatricians, we recommend that there is no kissing anywhere near the mouth or the hands because those germs can go into the baby's system and cause issues. If you are going to allow kissing, we say exclusively the feet, and even that is not the safest because some babies are able to put their feet in their mouths. So you could do things like like the top of the head or the back of the head, areas that they can't really reach. Again, kissing is your preference, but those are our recommendations. And of course, because we don't want fevers to happen in babies, we want to be mindful of anyone who has a fever should not interact with the baby. Anyone who's sniffly should not interact with the baby. And even if you're asymptomatic but you have a history of some chronic conditions, please talk to your pediatrician before you have people interact. Another question that we get a lot is, when should my baby be allowed to be in the environment? Talk to your pediatrician because every child is different and they'll be able to help guide you as to when the baby can be doing certain activities. When your baby is born, there are going to be a lot of questions that come up, understandably so. If you have a smartphone, please start a shared note between you and your fellow caregiver because it would be really helpful for you all to document your questions as they come up. If your baby blinks the wrong way or sneezes the wrong way, just write it down so that we can help you out when you come to the doctor's office, because we're going to always ask, are there any other questions we can help answer? And you're going to think, I have a million of them, but I can't think of them right now. So I've been recommending this and parents have been saying it's really helpful. And the super bonus tip for you is please, 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 as you see something or hear something that is bizarre, take a picture, take a video, record it so we can see exactly what's going on with your baby. We now have the advantage of technology, so let's use it to our benefit. Parents come in sometimes like, oh, the baby was doing this weird, bizarre thing and trying to describe it for us, which has been helpful in the past, but now we have videos, so we should be able to see exactly what you're seeing so we can help best. And the last question I have is, do you want your baby to be successful in life? I've never had a parent say no to that question. Click this video to find out how. We're going to talk about the baby's development and how you can help them be successful and guarantee their success in life. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please like it, comment down below, and share any tips you have for new parents, as well as questions you would like me to explore in future videos. Share it with a loved one, share it with a friend, share it with your baby, and I'll see you in this video. Ciao!
And the Carson. And the... Wow, what is happening? What goes inside the bassinet with the baby? The baby. Oh, with the baby. The baby. With the baby.